This is why a lot of poems fail. Even if someone has the technical ability, they become sort of lifeless marionettes because the people don't move beyond, they don't get behind a character's eyes, they don't move that character in a way that's different from the projected path that whatever the circumstances may seem to suggest.
Do you
And
think that poetry, by the way, Dan, since you've mentioned this, is as good a vehicle as prose for getting into a character's mind, or do you think it's more about constructing a voice and just a moment captured and expanded?
it depends on what the character is and whatnot. Sometimes form, poetry or prose, determines the way you can get into a character. If I was going to do a short story or a novel about Nat Turner, I couldn't do it in the same way that I do in this poem. Poetry is mostly about concision. You can look at that. I think that poem is 4.5, 5 pages long, but there's enough in there that even a novella probably wouldn't have as much ability to get inside the character if you know the character to a degree. And to a certain extent, though, the limitation, you have to know a little bit about Nat Turner as a historical figure before you get to the poem, or look it up perhaps. You will get a significant portion within the poem. And so the prose, you can get more of that background as you're painting out. But it all depends. There isn't necessarily one particular way to look at it. I could do I'm trying to think, have I done, well, for example, when I use some of the historical figures in the Vincetti brothers, or later on in some of the later books that I've done, um, I do them to give a certain sense of reality to the characters, or at least the milieu that they're in. Um, when I write about a famous person in real life, like a Nat Turner or Douglas MacArthur, there I don't. There they are at the center, and that's not to say that I don't give, let's say, some of the minor characters in some of these books that were based on real life characters a reality of their own within my work, but the focus is different, and each poem is different too. If I'm doing a poem that's about a historical character like Andrew Carnegie, um, I have a line running down the center of the pages of that poem. Good Andrew, bad Andrew, basically. That would be hard to that would be much more difficult to convey that black stripe in a book. I wouldn't say much more difficult. I could do that by alternating scenes of the good and the bad side of him, but it wouldn't be as dramatic